boring, and select a different tyre.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway and the track temperature looks warm.
Crofty is
That
now
may or may not play
interrupting me.
some team's hands in today's race.
Yeah, track is warm, says Crofty. Thank you, Crofty. That is good to know. What else does Crofty have to say for this race? I don't know, I may not have a co-commentator, but I have Crofty for the start of this race.
So as all the cars reform the grids, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
Crofty reckons that drivers are going to want to get good starts because getting good points is important. There we are. Wise words, Crofty. That is what Crofty has to say for this start. And so let's get going, as everyone is now coming up towards the line. Lining up to start this race. Make sure I've got all the settings on. The light's counting down now. And the lights are out, and we are away. Who's got the best start? It looks to be Quattro having a decent start, but Merckx has also got a decent start. Jumping Jensen off the line. And is that VR in the Mercedes having a little lunge up the inside of turn 1? I think it might be, as he's trying to hold it around the outside of Rigsy. They're going to go side by side here as Rigsy turns the fence into attack, trying to go around the outside of Jensen here in turn 3. Jensen gets his elbows out and keeps a position. I think that was perhaps a bit too optimistic for Rigsy to be trying that around the outside. Very much always Jensen's corner, but luckily it doesn't look like the Red Bull driver has got any damage from that. Further down the field, Sam and Ranga going side by side through Sector 1. Ranga's gained a few positions off the line. I think that's partly because Liam's had a bit of an off as well, as Beast and Smoke are battling it out. Yeah, at the front though, Van Dorn is right behind Quattro. Quattro not looking too confident in this race trim at the moment, and so Van Dorn's going side by side with him here. They're giving each other a decent bit of room. Who's going to break latest for this third sector chicane? They're trying to go side by side here. That is not a good idea, guys. That is not a good idea at all. But they do somehow make it work, and Quattro loses the lead to Van Dorn, but Quattro is going to be fighting back here. And already on lap 1 we have some high-octane content. Quattro trying to hold it all the way around the outside in the final corner. Is it going to give him better traction, though? Is he going to be able to tuck in? Have a look at his telemetry. Is he using? He isn't. There's a yellow flag there. I think that might be... That's Owen. That's Owen's at a moment, but Van Dorn now loses the lead to Quattro here. So a frenetic start. Who's the big gainers? Merckx has of course gained 1 position, going into the P3 position that he found himself in at the flag in last week's race. We have Rigsy gaining a decent amount. Owen and Liam, the big losers, both picking up damage on lap 1. And then another big gainer, SLR Ranga, who's gained 4 positions off the line. But has UK Beast Assassin right behind him. Beast gets a brilliant exit out of the S's. Oh, Ranga squeezes him a bit, but Beast gets his elbows out and goes up into P12. So last week's race winner is trying to find his way through. There's now Smoke is trying to get past Ranga. Oh, Ranga's lost it and he's in the wall. He has lost it, and I think he's lost his entire front wing as well. So that is not ideal for the Alpine driver. Both Alpines with front wing damage in the first couple of laps. And so, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work for the Alpine team to salvage any points from their race at the moment. There's friction in Alpine in real life with the Oscar Piastri situation. And now in SLR Division 1, there are issues with the Alpine team. Although this is very much an on-track issue rather than an off-track issue. As Van Dorn looks to be keeping pretty well with Van Dorn at the moment. And Merckx looks to be keeping relatively well with both of them as well. So potentially could we see a decent bit of a train forming here. Merckx seems very, very strong in first couple of turns. But yeah, the crucial thing here really though is whether Merckx can keep in the DRS of Van Dorn. If he can, then this could be a pretty decent train from these guys. As Van Dorn, it looks like Van Dorn is going to be staying very comfortably in the train of P1 as there's yellow flag in sector 1. Is that Rigsy? I don't know, but suddenly there's been a lot of time lost for in particular VR and Rigsy, so potentially there was a bit of a moment there from someone in Sector 1. Let's have a look. Merckx is right on the edge of losing DRS here. He's going to have to use a bit of DRS to close back up to it, and I think he might have lost it. I think Merckx might have lost DRS in the top two, and so that's going to put him under pressure from Jensen. But I think Jensen's going to have good pace here, and potentially Merckx is going to try and stick in behind him as the Williams driver looks to close in on the top two, because it looks like he's got strong pace at the moment. Up into P3, which was his starting position, so relatively speaking, nothing's changed too much in regards to those positions. But what has changed is Simba has gone up the inside of Riggs. So now Riggs and Bennett are battling it out. So the two Red Bulls exchanging positions briefly, and as Riggs now goes back on the attack, trying to get back past Simba. Further down the field, SLR Sam, is he going to have a look at the inside of Sharp Metal? Nah, thinks better of it. Does not want to take that risk with that kind of move this early on in the race. Playing the long game is SLR Sam. As really at the moment, we have two separate races here. We have the race for P1 with the top four all in their own train, and then there's a bit of a gap to VR. We have a separate train for P5. Although it looks like Merckx has lost DRS of the main train for the top three here, so oh, never mind, he's got it back. Merckx has found some decent bit more pace and has regained DRS on Jensen. Although I think it does look like, to be honest, Merckx is going to find himself kind of in a world of his own in P4 there. With the top three. The top three at the moment having a bit more race pace than the Haas driver. Speaking of having a bit more race pace, it looks like Van Dorn maybe has a bit more race pace than Quattro at the moment. Is he going to think about a move at the moment? No, not at the moment. He is sticking behind him. He is finding his time as Owen comes out of the pits just ahead of this top four and now puts himself a lap down. So Owen picks up more damage other than the damage that he sustained on lap one. And with him being a lap down, that means that actually not even a safety car is going to save Owen's race. So unfortunately, it looks to be Owen out of it for now. But here we are still, the battle for the top three. SLR Quattro looking relatively comfortable, relatively smooth, decent amount of ERS. But the others are able to stay pretty close to him. And at the moment, Jensen looking very, very comfortable as yellow flag is set to 1, and that is Ranga who's crashed. And is there going to be a potential safety car from that crash? I think that'll be what his teammate wants. Liam, of course, nearly a lap down himself. At the moment, it does not look like that is going to be what is going to be deployed. It looks like we're not going to see a safety car yet, but we are going to see, though, is a battle for the lead. We're going to see Van Dorn potentially try out the inside of Quattro here. Is he going to try and make the move? Oh, Quattro turns in on him a bit, and Van Dorn spins. Quattro and Van Dorn make contact there, and that pushes the McLaren driver right down into P4. It's now Simba and VR battling side by side for P5, but yeah, a bit of contact between Quattro and Van Dorn, and a first viewing, it kind of looked like Quattro cut him up a little bit, so potentially that's going to be one for the stewards to look at. But thankfully for Van Dorn, it doesn't look like he sustained any damage, and is in a pretty decent P4 position still, as SLR Sam has lost it, I think, as well. Struggling to get his car the right way round. So that is not ideal for Sam either. And Sam has now crashed. So could this potentially bring out a safety car? Yes, it does. Safety car has been deployed. So there we have it. Safety car is out. And what are these top three going to do? If I was everyone, I would be coming into the pits now for a change of tyres, as the hards can go the entire race distance from this lap. What is Quattro going to do? Quattro's going to come into the pits, as is Jensen, as is Merckx. I think that's the smart option. I'm sure we're going to see everyone come into the pits here. Yep, absolutely everyone on the lead lap coming into the pit. So there's a bit of contact with a few drivers there. And a real mess in the pit lane, as well as the Red Bulls are holding up the Mercs. And I think we're going to have a completely mixed up grid somewhat here. I think VR might have lost out a decent amount due to waiting for the Red Bulls. Yes, he has. He's dropped below Riggs. What else has changed? Bennett's lost out. Of course, had to double stack. Beast had to double stack, so he'll stat himself. And interestingly, Van Dorn has chosen the soft compound tyre and not the hards. So Van Dorn, the sole soft runner, he's not going to be able to make those tyres last to the end, not even close. And Van Dorn is very much banking on another safety car here, as Owen has spun or Bennett's disconnected. I'll send Bennett an invite back into the session. And VR's disconnected as well. So a couple of connection issues at the moment. Hopefully they can get back in the lobby before the safety car has come into the pits. It should be out for a couple of laps, as Owen and Liam have got to catch up. And Owen was more than a lap down and has managed to unlap himself. And Liam pitted just ahead of them. So it's like entirely a lap down. So it's going to take quite a while for these two to catch themselves back up to the pack. But they are now, if they do catch up, in the race. And so I said that Owen would need a bit of luck, and that his race was over after being a lap down, but he's now found himself on the lead lap. And he's coming into the pits now. Oh no, he's got himself more damage. So he did spin. Potentially he's got rear wing damage as well, maybe. But yeah, Owen really not in a good position. He's still electing not to retire, so he's very much trying his best to stay in this race. But it's not a good situation at the moment for the Alfa Romeo driver. It's going to be very, very unlikely that he catches up, even though these guys are behind safety car. I think Liam potentially could catch up. But yeah, this is really interesting though, because I think Van Dorn is now completely out of this race. I think he's going to have to pit again, unless there's a safety car in kind of about lap 15, 16-ish, so Van Dorn can put on another set of softs. I think that is him out of the race. He's taken a very, very risky strategy call and potentially is not going to work for him. Although he's going to be very, very exciting to watch at the beginning of this restart, that is for sure. And how's the battle for the lead going to play out as well? Because we saw Quattro and Jensen very, very close to each other before the safety car came out. And it does look like Jensen has some pretty good pace, so is Jensen going to be able to find his way past SLR Quattro and into the race lead? That is the question. And the safety car is still not coming in, so I think Liam is going to be able to catch up here. So from being almost an entire lap down, he stayed in this race, SLR Liam. Just on decent quality hards, he's on the same age tyres. Actually, no, he's on 1 lap older tyres than most of the field. But he is going to be able to get himself onto the back of the train on the lead lap. And he's going to be able to make something of this race. So there we are, case in point of why you should not retire in the pit lane. As potentially you can get a fortunate safety car. This is the safety car. Yeah, you can get a safety car and get yourself back in the race. Another question as well here is Owen going to be able to catch up? He's on a set of medium tyres, and so Owen is going to be able to have a decent bit more grip at the start of the stint, but may struggle towards the end of the race on those medium tyres, as they have done 4 laps now. But he is going to be in this race, so that is very much better than nothing. Oh, never mind. You've just jinxed him, as he has unfortunately lost it through the S's. And he's lost his front wing again. That is... yeah, I think he must have rear wing damage now, Owen, and now he's crashed. He's permanently retired himself, and he is out of this race. So we're now down to 13. As the safety car is now coming in at the end of this lap. When is Quattro going to let it go? Is he going to go early? Is he going to go late? And what's going to happen at the safety car restart? We saw a safety car in the McEwen division last night, which ended up causing some chaos. But here we are on the safety car restart, and Simba and Van Dorn have swapped places before the line, so potentially Simba's going to give that place back. I think he is. And that's potentially going to allow Riggs to sneak through on Simba. Riggs trying to round the outside of turn 1. But cannot make the move. He's using a lot of ERS here. He's going to send it here. No, he's not. As Van Dorn looks to try and get past Merckx, as he slightly taps the Haas driver. Got a lot more grip on these softs at the moment as Van Dorn. And this is the phase of the race where he needs to make the moves. But yeah. Interestingly though, Van Dorn has lost a bit of time to the top 2 anyway, despite being on the soft compound tyres. He has had to pass Merckx, but yeah, the soft tyres are not... But yeah, the soft tyres are not working too well. As let's see, yeah, he loses time through that corner as well, so yeah, potentially that could be his lot initially of making moves. Potentially you could start falling backwards. As towards the back of the field, SLR Liam begins his recovery drive by getting past a vote replay up into P12. Nice move there from Liam. Oh, as Quattro's hit the wall! Quattro's just hit the wall in turn 3. Has he picked up damage? He'll be very, very lucky if he's avoided damage, but Quattro turns too early in turn 3, and unfortunately for himself has hit the wall. He is potentially going to be very, very lucky man if he has avoided damage, but yeah, a bit of a mistake for Quattro, and that's just going to give Jensen even more incentive. He gets a lot better drive there. Through the hairpin as Van Dorn has spun. Van Dorn has spun from his soft compound tyres and is dropping all the way down. He's dropped out of the points into P13. So that is disaster for Van Dorn as he has a moment from the P3 position. He did have to pit again anyway, but it's still not great at all as Jensen and Quattro going side by side here. And Jensen makes the move. Jensen has taken the lead with an excellent move down the inside of Quattro as the yellow flag in sector 2, and Van Dorn has spun again. But yeah, can Quattro make his way back past? Does Quattro have damage, or is this just superior pace from Jensen? We'll have to wait and see. As the Williams driver is weaving to try and break the tow. It's further down the field, UK-Beast Assassin has managed to get his way past SLR Bennett for P9. As there's a bit of a train forming behind Merckx for P3. Van Dorn has lost it again. And that's probably him going to be retiring in the pits anytime soon. But yeah, interesting restart. There's another moment. There's another moment. That is Merckx 47 having a moment at the end of Sector 1. Very, very lucky to be able to keep that out of the barriers. But that's lost him a position to Simba, as it was looking like he was potentially going to lose DRS to the Alfa Romeo driver. So Merckx drops back into P4, and he's going to have to get his head screwed back on, get himself focused up, and focus on trying to close back in to the Alfa Romeo driver. As he has his good friend Riggsy X right behind him as well. As Riggs looking much closer to Merckx than what Merckx is looking close to Simba. Oh, as down the inside goes Shut Metal up the inside of VR. As Van Dorn does retire in the pits. And look at this, Smoke now. Trying to make it past VR, and is he going to try and make it past Shut Metal as well? Are they going to go 3 wide here into turn 1? VR does back out. Smoke tries to get through on Shut Metal, but Shut Metal gives him a bit of a cold shoulder there. As Merckx and Riggs battling it out, and Riggs has just got the position. Riggs up into P4. Wow, hectic few laps there. As Merckx seems to be struggling big time on these hard compound tyres. He's got a flag in sector 1. Who's that that's gone? That's Evoke. Evoke from P12. Unfortunately, has lost his car. As UK-Beast Assassin diving up the inside of VR. Oh, as VR's lost it, and he's lost his wheel. VR is out. VR is out of this race. And is that going to be another safety car? It is. It is. We have another safety car, and Van Dorn probably is going to be kicking himself for retiring in the pits because of that safety car, to be honest. But yeah, VR has crashed from this race. He's lost it at the start of Sector 2, and that puts Evoke back in this race and gives these drivers another bit of a conundrum about whether they pit. I think ultimately the softs are so bad that you've got to just stay out on these hards. As you don't have another set of mediums, so I'm not really expecting anyone to pit here. I've seen stranger things. No, it does look like everyone is staying out. And sensibly so. Hard compound tyre are a very good tyre here. Ultimately, they don't want to lose any track position on the train. But yeah, this once again closes up the field and keeps things interesting. And also makes things so that there's a point of staying in no matter what now, because there's 11 people in this race, and with just one more retirement, that would mean that everyone scores points. So if you retire in the pits at this stage, then you're kind of just dooming yourself, really. As if someone crashes, you're going to be like, why did I retire in the pits? I could have got a point. But yeah, anyway. Keeping this close does, of course, keep things unpredictable. As I just need to quickly grab something, so I'll pretend there is an ITV advert break, and I'll be back, hopefully before the safety car comes in. Alright, we are back, and we have a bit of an update from SLR Quattro. He does have damage. So I did think that he hit the wall in turn 3, and that may have given him damage. But we now have full confirmation of that. He's staying out, because obviously if he pits for that damage, then he's going to lose in track position. But it's going to be very much a struggle from now to the end of the race. With that understeer in Sector 1, it's going to be very, very horrible for Quattro, and potentially could result in him not being able to finish this race. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully he is going to be able to manage things very, very nicely. It's going to be very, very difficult of course, with the damage, but I think if you keep things calm, perhaps drive about an 80% or so with the damage, then you're going to be able to manage things a lot better in your race. As the safety car is now coming into the pits. And when is Jensen going to choose to go? It looks like he's trying to go very, very early here. Is he? Yes, he is. Jensen has gone very early and started this race way before Quattro did, and he's caught Quattro a little bit napping here. Keeps himself safe before turn 1, as you see some of these guys on the hards still trying to warm their tyres up. And so this is a key thing. Who's got their tyres warmed up the best? At the moment, Riggs looks to be a bit more comfortable on this restart than Simba, although, having said that, he's just had a little bit of a mistake there. Just allowed Simba to pull clear a bit. And Jensen himself is pulling clear as well. He's broken 1.1 seconds on Quattro due to Quattro's damage, and yeah, the Williams driver absolutely flying at the moment. And what's the closest battle at the moment? Looks to be at the moment the fight between Shut Metal and Smoke. The Shut Metal also closing in on Merckx. And interestingly, not very many people have penalties here, which I'm very surprised at. It's a very easy track to pick up penalties, and so far, most of these drivers have managed to get away without getting a penalty. Smoke at the moment, the only driver who is currently still in the race with a time penalty. Speaking of Smoke, it looks like he's trying to hound the back of Sharp Metal, but he's also being hounded a bit by Beast. So is Beast going to be able to send it up the inside of Smoke? He's going to the outside here. Smoke goes defensive into turn 1. Is Beast going to try around the outside? Oh, they make a little bit of contact. Smoke leaves in the room. And Beast is unable to get past the Aston Martin driver. As Smoke hits the wall though. And that potentially gives Smoke damage. It gave Quattro damage a few laps ago. So Smoke also has damage that potentially this could be Beast's chance to sneak through. Now at the moment it looks like Smoke is all fine. As once again Merckx unfortunately has lost the DRS to the top 4. So that's going to put him on the back foot relative to Sharp Metal. And Simba losing the DRS on the top 2 is putting him on the back foot compared to Riggs. As Riggsy looks to be, at the moment, the quicker driver. Is he's trying to hunt down a podium finish here in Division 1, which would be an excellent result for the Red Bull drivers. We'll get our position changes, as everyone's on the same tyres. Yeah, Riggs up 3 positions. Simba also having an excellent race, up 5. As down for P7, looks like Beast once again getting very, very close to Smoke. And could this be the McLaren driver's chance? Using a lot of battery up the inside on the straight. Smoke recognises that the gig is up. And Beast gets his way through into P7. And can he now potentially close up on Sharp Metal and Merckx? What will be a good result in P5 from the back row of the grid. That's further up now. Battle for the podium. Oh! Someone's about a moment. That's Merckx. Merckx has spun. Oh, he's put enough. He's made no mistakes at all this race up until that moment. And Merckx has just had a moment in the middle of the S's and he's lost it. He's lost P5, dropped all the way down to P11, and stone dead last at the moment. And yeah, it's definitely going to need some luck if he wants to score a decent amount of points this race. But yeah, that is really unfortunate for the fast driver, as yeah, he just that one mistake, that one lapse of concentration. And that can be it with the field as close as it is due to the safety cars. What that has done is meant the Sharp Metal has had to take avoiding action of it as well. And it's allowed Beast to go into P5. So the championship leader before this race is putting on an excellent recovery drive. Although potentially Sharp Metal's going to put him back under pressure here into turn 1. Is he going to think about a move? No, he thinks better of it, Sharp Metal, and stays behind Beast. As interestingly, Simba buying a little bit more pace relative to Quattro at this phase of the race. Quattro looked to be pulling away from him a bit despite his damage. As I think you can see, can you see that on the end plate? It's hard to see. You can't really see his damage too well, but he says that he does have damage. But yeah, I think now the extra understeer, the extra strain on the front tyres, potentially allowing Simba to close up to Quattro, and potentially you could see a 3-way battle for P2 here, as Riggs is still right with him. As there's a little bit of a battle for P7 here. I think that's because Smoke at a moment. That's why. Smoke at a moment has dropped down this P9. And that's going to allow Liam to sneak up the inside of him, and potentially that means Smoke has damage, I don't know. But yeah, Smoke, unfortunately, loses his car, and that promotes Bennett up into P7. Let's move him back to the battle for the P2 here. And Riggs up the inside of Simba. Simba has no ERS. His red light was flashing. And Riggs down the inside gets P3. And can Riggs now close up to Quattro and perhaps get himself even a P2 finish? Looking really, really strong on race pace at the moment is the Red Bull driver. Although having said that, he's not had the best set to 1, and so that's going to allow Simba to be a right back with him by the end of this lap. Although Reese goes a little bit deep there, so it's allowing Simba to close back up to him. Yes, Riggs now currently on the podium. Let's just check the ERS of the top drivers. ETSR Jensen's got a pretty healthy amount of ERS in P1. Looks to be quite comfortable at the moment. Quattro also has a comfortable amount of ERS. A decent bit more than Riggs anyway. And Simba, of course, running very, very low, so that potentially could save Riggs from potential onslaught towards the end of the race, as Simba is very much going to be struggling here with his battery. As here, we're in a little bit of a quiet phase of this race. Here, after that overtake from Riggs. Main meaningful battle on track is between Bennett and Evoke. And of course, Evoke has a 3-second time penalty, so Bennett's position should be safe if he keeps things calm. If anything, Evoke's got to be wary of Liam behind him, actually. And maybe even Merckx as well, as Merckx is only about 4 seconds behind Evoke, despite that spin. But I think the main battle here, from now to the end of the race, is between Riggsy and Quattro. Riggs, despite having a bit of an ERS disadvantage to Quattro at this current moment, looks to have the bit between his teeth here. Quattro's perhaps made a couple of mistakes. Nerves perhaps kicking in as he realises that he could potentially have a podium here. And the Red Bull driver of Riggsy smells a good result as, oh no, Bennett has lost it. Bennett has crashed, and there is another safety car right at the end of this race. And what do these drivers do here? There's very, very little time left in this race. Jensen has chosen to pit. Quattro stays out. Riggs really, really undecided, but does decide to pit himself. B stays out. Shut Medal also undecided. There's Evoke staying out. Liam coming into the pits. Merckx coming into the pits. Wow, what a twist here. Jensen, in coming into the pits, has dropped himself all the way down into P5. But as those fresh softs on, is that going to be potentially a little bit of a repeat of the McEwen division last night, as we have a complete shake-up here? A complete shake-up. Jensen and Riggs come into the pits. And Quattro, Simba, Beast and Evoke have said, you know what, I'm taking a bit of a risk here. I'm staying out on my old hards. They don't reckon that Jensen, Riggs, Shut Metal, Liam, Merckx and Smoke, when he catches up, are going to be able to challenge on those fresh softs. Ogween does still back Jensen for the win, but oh, that's going to be so hard for him. And what a final few laps we have here for the battle for the race win. Quattro, Simba, Beast and Evoke are going to be very, very slow here compared to the soft runners. But the soft runners are going to be charging. They are going to be fast. And they are going to have the much fresher tyres. So can Jensen, Riggs and co. get their way back into the top 5? That is the question. Jensen was very, very comfortable in P1. He probably did not need to pit. But when you're the leader, you have that little bit of fear in your mind. Is everyone else going to pit behind me? That is the question. And the answer for Jensen was, well, 5 people have pit behind him, but Quattro, Simba, Beast and Evoke have stayed out. And with there only going to be 2 laps of racing, once this safety car comes in, this is going to be very, very difficult for Jensen to be able to find his way back through. And we're going to basically have... We're going to have 4 Lewis Hamiltons and 6 Max Verstappens at the end. That analogy of definitely overused, but that is the situation we have. We have a race that was very much plodding towards a fairly formal conclusion in terms of the battle for the race win. And now suddenly, things have changed on its... Those things have flipped on their head. Quattro, taking a bit of a risk, was running in P2, stays on those tyres, finds himself in P1. And with only 2 laps to go, can he put in a defensive masterclass and keep that P1? Last week's race winner, UK Beast Assassin, with a very, very interesting risk as well, putting himself back on the podium. Can he potentially try and use attack as the best form of defence, get past Simba and Quattro, challenge for the win again? Or will he be swamped by the guys behind him? I think Evoke is going to be very, very nervous of all those soft runners himself, as he is the driver who is the last of the hard runners, as smoke now catches up. And we're going to get 2 laps of racing here. 2 laps of racing to decide who is going to be the victor of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Division 1. It's been hectic. We've had multiple safety cars, and we've of course had that wet quali. So much has happened in this race that I've completely forgotten about that. The wet quali that started setting this grid for what has been an interesting race to begin with. But who is going to be the person who comes out on top? The safety car is in this lap. Quattro, with that little bit of damage that he has, is going to be looking behind him, or is he going to potentially try and look ahead and get as big of a gap as he can for when Jensen inevitably makes a couple of moves? How early is Quattro going to go? Is he going to wait until late? I think he is. He's still wiggling his wheels, and now he goes. So here we are. The race has now begun. I'm going to stay on board with Jensen here, because he is the one to look out for as he's tucking in the wheel tracks of Evoke. Is he going to send it up the inside of turn 1? He is. He's broken quite late, though, and he taps the back of Beast as Riggs has snuck through, and Jensen has lost it. Jensen has spun. He's made contact with Riggs as Riggs picks up a time penalty for corner cutting in the meantime, but wow, Jensen, he was in P1, he's put himself in the pack, and unfortunately for him, he's had a bit of a collision. He's had a collision, and he is completely gone. He has absolutely lost it. He is in P10. He has had no chance of winning this race now. And so now Riggsy is the head soft runner, but he has a penalty. And so now suddenly Merckx, Shunt Medal, the drivers who are right at the back, are in a really good position here as Riggs goes up the inside of Beast. And with just 1 lap to go here, it looks like Quattro is pretty secure. Riggs has that time penalty, and that potentially could cost him a shot at the win. Oh, Smoke has lost it as well. Smoke has lost it. As Jensen is potentially going to try and fight for on Liam. Can he make the move stick? No, not at the moment. Yeah, what must be going through Jensen's mind here? He's in a really good position, but that is what happens when you're battling in the pack. Moments like that can happen. Riggs has managed to escape himself and has gone up the inside of Quattro. Gets P2. As Evoke is getting super defensive into the last corner. And that's going to unsettle Shunt Medal. And now Merckx is going to try and get through. Merckx up the inside of Shunt Medal. Can he get himself into the top 5 here? He's in the wheel track, in the slipstream of Evoke. Is he going to send it up the inside? He is! He does send it up the inside as Merckx. Late braking manoeuvre, trying to hold it around the outside on those soft compound tyres, and he's made the move stick up into the top 5. What a move by Merckx! What a move by Merckx. And now Shunt Medal is trying to get past Evoke. Evoke is very much a stopper here. As at the front of this race now, Riggsy is right behind Quattro, so the strategy would have worked for Jensen. as it is working for Riggs, but unfortunately for him, he has that time penalty. How much is that going to affect him by the end of this race? At the moment, he does not care, as he's going down the inside of Quattro. They're going side by side here. Then to the second sector chicane, Quattro getting his elbows out and stays ahead, brilliantly defending despite his hard tyres as Riggs nearly loses it. Riggs has a massive moment and manages to correct himself, which potentially could save him a couple of positions in the long run. As further back now, Jensen, he's trying absolutely everything he's got. Shut Metal going defensive into the final sector chicane, as this is it. This is the last straight really for this race. Riggs absolutely rinsing his ERS, trying to get past Quattro. Is he going to have a bit of a dive here into the final corner, Riggs? No, he thinks better of it. He does have that time penalty. And so SLR Quattro coming up towards the line. He is going to claim victory here in the most unlikely circumstances, weaving up towards the line, and he's done it! Simba claims P2, Beast claims P3, Merckx with an excellent P4. After spinning with a few laps to go, Riggs in P5, Jensen's going to be absolutely distraught in P6, Shut Metal in P7, Liam in P8, Evoke in P9, and Smoke rounds out the top 10. What an ending to this race. The Games Driver of the Day was given to UK Beast Assassin. But can you put it in the chat? Who is your personal driver of the day? As Quattro takes the victory, followed by Simba, followed by Beast are your top 3. What a race. As we're going to get the top 3 in at the party here now. I'm going to try and get through as much of the race director as I can to see lap times, in case anyone wants to, just to see who's got the fastest lap. But yeah, what a race. Can you make sure you've ticked your boxes, please, everyone? And we will begin this. Once Simba has joined the party. In fact, I'll start now. I'll start with last week's race winner, UK Beast Assassin. Well, you had that moment in Q1 in the wet weather, but you've managed to recover from that, qualified P15, and you found yourself on the podium. So you happy with that result? And talk us through your race. What do you think got you this podium?
Yeah, quali was obviously a mess. Binned it in the wet conditions after doing a lap that would have comfortably put me through. Yeah, and then the race was just staying out of trouble, really. I got a bit of contact into the pits. I think I got hit in the rear. Which gave me rear wing damage, but luckily it was only minor, so it didn't really affect the car. But yeah, like I said, just kept it out of trouble, didn't hit any barriers, and benefited from other people's sort of nightmares, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the second podium out of 2 races with staying out of trouble. And how do you feel about the upcoming races? 2 very, very different tracks, and you've got the win in Bahrain, and you've of course got the podium here in Jeddah. How do you fancy your chances this season, or are you just taking it one race at a time?
Yeah, exactly.
Are these results expected for you? Are these results expected for you, or are you surprised with your pace that you've had in the first couple of races?
Honestly surprised. Before the season started, my pace was woeful, and to be honest, it's still not where I want it to be, but it's there or thereabouts. So to be finishing P1 and P3 in the first 2 races of the season is good.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would complain about that. And now I'm going to give him one more party invite, so hopefully he can join. If he doesn't, then I'll just move on to P1. But yeah, congratulations on P3. Doesn't look like. Yeah, there we are. Hey, Simba's joining. He's streaming himself as well. I'll include myself on his stream, and he'll include himself on my stream. So yeah, make sure you tick your box, mate. And yeah, straight away, just P2. P2 in this race. How do you feel? How do you feel with how you drove? How do you feel with a result like P2 at Jeddah? And how do you think your race went in general? Seemed to be near the front of the field fairly often after perhaps not an ideal qualifying. So yeah, just talk us through it.
The race was really good. Qualifying was a was an absolute disaster. Crashing with my teammate is never ideal. I think the idea was survival, keeping it clean during the race, and yeah, pace was actually quite strong. I couldn't keep up with Quattro, but we were able to stay near the front, which was good because track position is key. The second safety car was the main reason why we finished second, because some people pitted when staying up was the right option. So I'm very happy with P2. After having a very disappointing race in Bahrain, this is a good way to start the season.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I remember speaking to you earlier on this week, and you were saying that you wanted to convert your practice pace in Bahrain to good pace, and you were unable to do so. But now you've managed to do that in Jeddah. So how are you looking forward to building on this momentum for upcoming races? What's your targets in the next few races?
Well, I think the target is just consistency. It's 22 races. I've never done a 22 race long season before, so it's a new challenge for me. I think for others as well. Yeah, consistency is going to be the main game. So if we can continue fighting for the win, we can go for the win. If not, top 5 or points finish will always be good. So I think the main aim is just consistency this season.
Yep. Yeah. Good way of looking at it. And yeah, well done, P2.
Cheers, mate.
And now, race winner. I believe you've done 3 Jeddah races in SLR, and you've won all 3 of them. So you obviously have a very soft spot for this track, that is for sure. But yeah, SLR Quattro, P1 in the wet qualifying, by very, very small margin in the end. And then you managed to convert that into a victory. So how do you feel with the win? And how do you feel your race went in general? The track that you had damage midway through it.
Yeah, damage halfway through it. It was, yeah, Jensen was quicker than me anyway, so he would have overtaken me. But then I got damage, and I thought I would drop down a lot, since Codemasters now made the damage worse. Well, it didn't seem to be. I was keeping up quite a bit, and it got me P1 while staying out on the last few laps and the safety car. So great. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky.
Yeah. I wouldn't really say there's really much luck about it, really. I mean, seemed like you drove very, very well. Like, and speak to us, yeah, kind of about how you tackled the wet conditions. We saw you topping each of the wet sessions in qualifying. Was rain at Jeddah something you were prepared for, or
not at all?
Feel more comfortable, or do you just feel more comfortable in the wet compared to the dry?
Not at all. I haven't tried wet in Jeddah, so I don't know. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I like wet in general on this game. So and I like this track, so that was a good combo. It was just I was keeping my ERS off through every corner to get a good exit and turning my ERS on the straights, and that kept me P1.
So interesting little bit of insight to everyone of potentially that is something that could work in the wet. I've personally driven about 3 laps in the wet on this game, so including one on pad whilst waiting for the lobby restart. But yeah, congratulations on the P1. And how are you looking to translate this to other tracks and build on from it? What's your targets in the next few races to build on from this victory?
Yeah, I want to be top 5-ish. I don't think I can keep P1, but there are a lot of tracks I don't like in this calendar now, and that will screw me a lot. So consistency is key, I guess, and yeah, enough practice for it. Hope I get better at tracks I don't like, but for now, it's looking good. Well, Bahrain didn't look good. I DNF there, but this one does look good.
Yeah, well done for the victory once again. And that's all we've got time for this week. Next race, we're going to have the first of the new layouts, as we are going to go to the new layout of Australia for round 3 next week. Should be an interesting challenge to see who adapts to that. We got F2 on Thursday, where we find out how much sweat can one man's human body excrete with SLR Corey. And then we move on to the F1 race weekend. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and good evening, and have a good week. And yes.